Do you know what audio you Oh, I have to go to the bottom one. Oh, this thing? Doesn't show here though.
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line.
Two. I don't think you could hear me. Huh?
The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's 1-hour webinar. My name is Clayton Roll, and I'm from cpaacademy.org. If you are joining us for the first time, I believe you picked a great first webinar. And if you are a returning member, I'd just like to continue to thank you for using our platform for your learning and CPE credit needs. But before we get too far into this, why don't you go ahead and go into that questions panel docked on the side of your screen and just let me know that you can hear my voice, that you can see that slide deck up on your screen. It'll just help me feel a whole lot better knowing that everything is working as it should. I'll take a look at that questions panel. Looks like some questions or some responses are slowly coming in. And it looks like we are doing well. Before we get too far into this, I do want to let you know that if you do have any problems during the webinar where you can no longer hear or see, you can use that questions panel to let me know. Go ahead and just let me know what your issue is. We will do our best to troubleshoot that as fast as we can. Please don't forget, there's a lot of you on this webinar. There's only one of me, but I will do my best to bounce you back in as quickly as I can. This course does qualify for 1 CPE credit in order to earn credit. NASBA requires that you are logged into the session and you answer those polling questions. Those polling questions will pop up on the screen and you will have approximately 1 minute to provide us with your response. CPE credit will be issued by the end of the day today. It will be available in your CPA Academy account within the next 24 hours, so be on the lookout for that. I also want to let you know that we are recording today's presentation today, so be on the lookout for that recording. You can use it to refer back to anything that you might have missed. I also want to let you know that I will be dropping the handouts in for this presentation here in a few seconds, so those will be hot off the press if you want to use them to follow along or use them as a reference in the future. I also am going to let you know I just dropped a quick link into your chat panel where you can go ahead and click on that link and follow us on LinkedIn, where you can stay up to date on some of our upcoming content and classes you might not see on our website or in our emails right away. So make sure to give us a follow there. But with that, what I really want to do is I want to hand this off to Jasmine and Hans from ClockShark. They are going to be giving a great presentation today. I want to give them all the time they deserve. So with that, why don't you guys go ahead and take it away from me?
Perfect. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Clayton. Really appreciate it. And hello, everyone. So happy Friday the 13th, very spooky Friday. But first of all, I do want to thank CPA Academy for allowing us to be part of their growing community, and all of you wonderful people joining us here this morning. And if you're moving around, maybe it's afternoon for you or just peeking in there, either way, welcome, welcome. So we're here and welcoming you to Make Payroll Easy with automated time tracking. So we are your Clock Sharp presenters. My name is Jasmine. I'll be guiding you through our webinar today, and I'm accompanied by Hans, who is our customer success sharp guru, and I'm here to introduce him here, so be able to jump in.
Hello, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So we're happy to talk to you today about a very, very exciting topic theme that brings most people joy, whether that's every week, every bi-weekly, every month, and usually on a Friday. So with that being said, can any guesses as to what that could be? Obviously, the presentation itself ends up giving quite a big hint, but yeah, it's payday. Everybody loves payday. All your hard-earned hours that have been accumulated together, they're all rewarded with a nice paycheck. And to be frank, who can argue that? But part of that whole process, obviously being accountants, CPAs, and bookkeepers, you understand how hardworking that can be. So at those different stages, we're here to talk to you about how to make that process easy, as well as being the magical wizard numbers that you are. You want to make sure that the process is easier rather than a system that's working against you. So with that being said, let's move on to our agenda. Being the organized individuals that we are, and like any presentation, we're going to talk about what we're going to go over this webinar today. So going over that structure and the payroll process, we'll be walking you through the waves of payroll, from the employee's time being tracked to all the way to them getting their check, taking a magnifying glass to that process to see what each player's key responsibilities are and what they bring to the table. And then ultimately, what makes that payment process successful for both payroll, and then slightly talking about job costing. What this webinar is also going to focus on is the benefits of automated processes, as this will add value to your clients' businesses, but most importantly, your time and expertise as financial gurus for your clients. And as those payroll financial heroes, your clients' businesses, you'll be giving them a glimpse into what Clock Sharp is going to be all about and how it's already helped thousands of other customers be successful. So as I bring this up here, I'm going to ask my help from Clayton here to answer our very first poll question. So currently in your business or in your client's businesses, do you currently provide a payroll solution for your client? Yes, you do it manually, maybe you outsource it, maybe it's something that has been opened up quite a few other times, or maybe complete opposite spectrum, have no interest whatsoever, and you're just here for the show. Either way, hopefully I've got Clayton here helping me along to launch that call for me. So I'll leave that up for a moment.
Yeah, that poll is up for a minute here. We are going to leave it open for about another 30 seconds, but otherwise it looks like the votes are rolling in. Perfect. And with that, we are almost to 95% voted here. So I'm going to leave it up for about another 5 seconds, and then we are going to go ahead and close it down. So we're going to close this down in 3, 2, and 1. All right, back to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Clayton. Don't know what I'd do without you. So understanding that payroll process. So with all things that being said, taking that metaphorical magnifying glass to that payroll portion, this is what we'd find. The employee regulations. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is going to be that red tape, the parameters that keep the business kosher. What things should be happening in the business, and maybe things that need to be put into check, like labor laws, or sometimes even overtime parameters. Not something that we have control over, but something that just keeps us in compliance. Deductions. Now, employee deductions are important because these are the certain programs from medical premiums, 401ks, or even recent even life insurance or health insurance that keeps that peace of mind that if the coronavirus is out to get you, you're going to be covered. But slightly dark humor aside, it's still something important that we understand that these deductions are able to be taken and we're able to honor them for the employees as they are a benefit for them individually. So moving on to that, payroll and tax liabilities. This can be a range of different costs, again, outside of your control, but still governed by your local state, federal, or even country's laws. This is something regardless that you have to pay and make sure that it's included in your payroll process. I could really elaborate into this, but again, that's going to be a whole nother webinar in itself. So something else that I'd like to share with you on here, part of all these different things that are being taken place, the most important thing is tracking the employees' times. Now this can be included in with overtime, sick time, sometimes even paid time off. These are all things that are being broken down and still need to be tracked up, so that way there is a structure of process. Here at Clockshot, I'd like to share with you something. With all these responsibilities, we can take a deep breath and realize it is important that we need to get things done. Sometimes having a cheat sheet or something as a tool in hand can make things easier. So our mission here at Clockshot is that we understand that businesses are going to be hard to run. But again, it doesn't have to be that way. Our mission is to provide software and service so good that it corrects the course of business, improves lives, and creates love. So together, I'd like to take the right step in the right direction. But before we begin with that, I'd like to ponder back and bring you back into your own situation to see what your clients are currently using for their time tracking needs. So again, Clayton, I'd love for you to help me out here.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and get that second poll up now. Do you have clients who use manual or paper timesheets for payroll info? Leave that up. Yes, no, or I am not sure. All right, and it looks like we are well over 90% voted here, so I am going to leave this up for another 5 seconds, and I'm going to close it down, so get that last second vote in here in 3, 2, and 1.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Clayton. Really appreciate it again. So what does that current process look like? Now, this can be things from, let's say, timesheets, Excel spreadsheet, maybe text messages, perhaps the Flintstones wall clock, ranging from all these different things. You never know how that's going to come through. We've seen it all. So what I'd like to do is kind of figure out what that process looks like. So the waves of payroll, and again, we're going to go through all the different sharp puns and wave things that we can go through. But here we've got the situation of the employees coming in, giving you those timesheets, being given to the administrator, and then also being given to payroll. So let's take a key look into what these key players bring. Now the employee, they're tracking the business's times, they're employing you, they're making sure that they know exactly what's going on. By giving these timesheets to them, this can sometimes be very inaccurate, sometimes not well written. And when you bring into the play of handwritten timesheets, there's always going to be inaccuracies. Maybe 15 minutes extra here, maybe 30 minutes here extra, but it all adds up. Whether that's per week, per paycheck, per year, that adds up to thousands of dollars, if not more. And ultimately, it's costing the business more, and you're not knowing a good idea as to how the business is being run. From those timesheets, obviously, it's going to be the administrator's job to make sure that things are being checked in properly. You're having to decipher, read all these different bits of information, make sure they actually make sense. Perfect. So from those notes and verifications, you're also able to find out from the owners, maybe from the foreman, multiple different people involved. And ultimately, all this information is pushed out to payroll. There's going to be multiple different people, maybe in outsourcing like ADP, QuickBooks Intuit, personally another payroll company that takes on this responsibility, or sometimes even yourself, you're manually cutting those checks out. And that can make a really big difference. But at this stage, that's a very final option to be able to make those changes and adjustments to make sure that those deductions that we talked about are honored. There's one role that we haven't talked about, and that's the owner. The owner's role is going to be lots of different hats, and they come to you ultimately to find out what direction and what consulting they need. This can be from maybe scheduling their employees, making sure they're paying for other finances or liabilities that they're responsible for, and of course, getting payroll done. And as you can see, you've got add another. They've got multiple different things out there that they need to make sure that at the end of the day, they're getting that job done. Now let's paint a picture and see if there was a world that we would be able to live in where payroll wasn't the boogeyman, it wasn't he who should not be named, but instead it'd be something that, you know what, we're getting this done and it makes sense. And it would give you more time to spend with gaining more businesses, expanding your practice, and heck, even sitting on a beach somewhere. From your client's perspective, on the other hand, you can help eliminate payroll costs, payroll errors, reduce and track any unnecessary overtime expenses, depending on the nature of the client's industry, of course. Perhaps providing a clearer picture to the day-to-day operations that helps aid with job costing. Eventually, just making sure that invoicing and billing makes sense instead of the clients coming back and questioning why they're being charged a certain amount. With that being said, I'd like to find out a little bit more from you guys to see if your clients do ask you for that question, to say, is there a solution out there that can make my life easier? And then Clayton, if you can help me out here for that poll question, it'd be wonderful.
Perfect. Let me go ahead and pull that up on everyone's screen now. Get that third polling question up. And we'll leave it up for about a minute.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And looks like we've got a lot of different responses here. And again, quite typical, we've got a mixture of individuals. That some might need something out there that's going to make their life easier. And some people have never even heard of anything that can make their life that much easier. Either way, really good content to be able to come and join us today. So thank you so much for being so responsive.
Perfect. And with that, we are pretty well voted here. So I'm going to leave it up for 5 seconds, and I'm going to close it down here in 3, 2, and 1. All right, Jasmine, back to you.
Thank you, Clayton. Appreciate it. So businesses love savings. So savings is a big topic for us here today, whether that's time, whether that's money. So if we're able to turn around the 8% waste and turn that into savings, just because rounding errors are being made, or maybe there's discrepancies in finding out whether things are correct and there's a legitimate overtime, that's something that we're going to be able to talk about and address today. Perhaps communication is the key trigger method to make sure that a business is successful. Certain clients, it can be more beneficial, but communication is key. So aligning your clients' employees with their management to understand a better way to run the businesses only creates harmonious flow. With that being said, proactive notifications are again another tool that's going to make sure that you can stay and keep overtime a unnecessary cost that's going to end up making sure that the employees know beforehand rather than later on after the overtime has been put into place. So let's dive into a more accurate workflow with the help of our wonderful solution. So Hans, I'm going to bring you in on here and take it away.
Well, thank you, Jasmine, for that very nice introduction. And hello again, everyone. I'm Hans. I am a product educator and account manager here at ClockShark. And today I'll just be showing you how our system can save you some time and frustration. But I want to start with a real quick and just high-level overview of ClockShark. Then we'll cover how it will make your lives easier. So I suppose to start, what exactly is ClockShark, right? In a nutshell, we are the leading time tracking and scheduling software that was at first purpose-built for construction and field service and franchises who want a simpler way to just track their mobile employees' times, run payroll quickly and accurately, and understand job costs. But our big takeaway for today's session is that we integrate seamlessly with QuickBooks Desktop and online. Then you can leverage those integrations to save a ton of time doing tedious data entry. That way you can get back to focusing on what's most important for your clients and your practice. Here's just a little bit about our current momentum. We were founded in 2014, and ClockShark is already used worldwide. We support thousands of customers and even more devices all across the globe. We're already recording millions of hours per week, and we help our customers ditch the hassles of paper timesheets with our software that makes it much easier to run their business and keep their accountants happy, which is why we're here today, am I right? Simplicity is key with ClockShark, and you'll notice that as we go through and review things today. So who exactly is using ClockShark? As I mentioned before, our sweet spot is small and medium businesses, 5 to 500 employees, and ClockShark was initially built for construction and field service businesses. Now, that is a pretty broad spectrum, including contractors, roofers, plumbers, property managers, painters, but heck, we even have food trucks, Airbnb cleaners, drivers, a lot of home healthcare companies, nonprofits. Literally anyone with a mobile workforce or who has a need for time tracking can use ClockShark. Everything can be customized to fit your client's needs, including the QuickBooks integration that we're about to review. ClockShark also allows your clients to clock in and record their time in a wide variety of ways. Now, the best option is to have each employee clock in and out right from their personal devices. But we offer alternatives like Crew Clock if you need a supervisor or a foreman to clock in for their staff, or maybe they work in a warehouse or a shop and they're more used to a terminal time clock environment. For that option, we have something called Kiosk Clock, which works great for those shop or warehouse workers. Or they could even clock in right from our website, literally from anywhere with internet access. The employee's location is going to be included alongside the time segment to verify that they were working where they were supposed to be working, and that helps true up the hours quite a bit. Of course, with paper timesheets, like Jasmine was just saying, there's quite a bit of freedom for employees to just scribble whatever hours they want. So often that GPS tends to true up the hours and reduce the rounding errors too. If your client happens to manage their business from out in the field, our app really helps keep things organized with some other great features like photo and file sharing and our Who's Working Now page, which actually shows where every employee is working in real time. ClockShark also helps improve business operations in general. We handle paid time off requests and accruals, then we export those hours properly into QuickBooks. We have customizable clock out questions that can be asked whenever the employees clock out at the end of the day. Things like, how many miles did you drive today? Or how many sprinkler heads did you install? Questions like that. Scheduling is included, timesheet approvals are included, and we never stop working to add new features to continue making ClockShark the best time tracking app out there, period. Lastly, ClockShark does offer several notifications or rather integrations and notifications for that matter, to help streamline the payroll and job costing process. Time can be exported from ClockShark into your payroll programs with a couple clicks of the mouse. We integrate with QuickBooks Online and Desktop, ADP Run, as well as Workforce Now, Sage 100, Xero, and Zapier. And of course, in today's webinar, we're just focusing on the QuickBooks integration. So I wanted to start by covering how things in ClockShark relate to the items that you're familiar with in QuickBooks. So in ClockShark, Every clock-in method requires a really simple two-step process. Each employee must select a job that they're working at and a task that they're doing. They can also enter notes or even upload attachments, things like signed invoices. We see a lot of before and after pictures, or even receipts for materials purchases. Jobs in ClockShark equal customers and subjobs in QuickBooks. Tasks in ClockShark equals service items in QuickBooks. Then, to take that a step further, different payroll items can be associated with each of those different tasks during the integration. So if your employees happen to earn a different rate for doing various tasks, they can be compensated properly. Then, of course, employees in ClockShark equal employees in QuickBooks, but we can also tie them to a vendor or even a 1099 worker in QuickBooks. By leveraging the QuickBooks integration, you'll be able to provide more value to your clients. You can drastically reduce the time that it takes to run payroll and do job costing, then share those key business insights with them instantly. Tedious data entry will be eliminated in a couple of ways. Just think about it. Number one, your employees won't have to fill out paperwork at the very last day of the pay period, if they even remember to at all. This also makes the timesheets more accurate, since they're going to be completed in real time as they're performing the work. Then your clients won't have to decipher their sloppy handwriting and review the hours at the last minute just scrambling. And then the last step is you or your clients won't have to manually key in all of that information into QuickBooks. You can lean on technology to do all of that tedious data entry for you. After it's in QuickBooks, you can create, save, and pull reports from accurate records. That's really key. And with the time that you're saving not having to do that manual data entry, you can focus more on advanced KPIs and dive deeper into your client's data. So that was a quick and high-level overview of ClockShark. The last point I want to make before starting the live demo on our website is that all of our customer support agents are QuickBooks Certified Pro Advisors. It's actually a requirement to pass that exam during our training process, and support is readily available if you or your clients ever need any assistance setting things up or during the export. So let's go ahead and dive right into my demo account, and we'll export sometimes over to QuickBooks. And you'll notice I have some HGTV hosts and personalities here. Hopefully we have some fans in the audience. I want to start here on our website though. This is our integrations page. As I mentioned, we integrate with QuickBooks Online and Desktop, Sage 100, ADP Run, as well as Workforce Now, Xero, and Zapier. Now, your clients can also be dually integrated with QuickBooks and ADP. So if they use ADP for payroll and QuickBooks for billing and job costing, we can support that type of connection. But let's just focus on the QuickBooks portion for now. I'll start with this settings page, and I want to preface this with each one of your clients probably uses QuickBooks in a different way, in a different environment. They may use a hosted server through Right Networks. They may have an on-premise server where they house everything, or they may have just a single copy of QuickBooks on a desktop somewhere. We can support each of those things. The technology is all the same. We just lean on the QuickBooks Web Connector, which is a free utility built right into QuickBooks. That being said, there's also a wide variety of use cases. Some of your clients may only need to export the employee's hours for payroll, and they don't necessarily need to tie it to a job or a task. That's fine. We can do that. But more often than not, they're going to want to send the hours over associated with a customer for that job costing and billing. So every new customer you add into QuickBooks can be automatically imported into ClockShark with this option right here. Or they can skip that option again if they just need the hours for payroll and whatnot. The other setting I love pointing out is when we export the time over to QuickBooks, we can automatically mark that time as billable to a customer or a job. It makes invoicing really, really easy once the time entries actually are in QuickBooks. So let's begin with the end in mind here. I want to take you to our mappings page. And a mapping is really just a fancy word for a relationship, right? So again, QuickBooks customers and jobs equal ClockShark jobs. Employees in QuickBooks equal employees in ClockShark. But you can also match QuickBooks vendors or 1099 workers to ClockShark employees as well. And those hours are going to be exported properly into QuickBooks. Lastly, we have service items, which of course equal ClockShark tasks. The service items are going to be the things that you actually bill your clients for and the work that you perform for them. Now, these columns that you see here, the regular, overtime, and double time, these are going to be QuickBooks payroll items. So this is what I alluded to before. If they happen to earn a different rate for, say, traveling, for instance, instead of on-site labor or any other task, we can make sure that we export and code those hours over properly. Lastly, we do have time off as an option. So we have unlimited ClockShark time off policies, and you can tie them to the proper QuickBooks payroll item as well. So now I want to load up our Who's Working Now page. This is essentially your master view as to where everyone is working in real time. And I just want to show you how easy our mobile app is to use. This is a live look into a mobile app. I use an Android, so as you can see here, we have a wide variety of options in the mobile app, but it's a really simple two-step process for the employees with the boots on the ground to record time. They have to select a job and a service item or a task. So they just tap this box here. They would select one of the jobs here from the list and any task. From that point, they're able to enter any notes, upload any attachments, again, before and after pictures, signed invoices, things like that. But I'm just going to clock in for now and keep your eyes peeled on the southwest region of the US. My timer has started. The job and task that I selected shifted directly beneath that timer, so the employees know exactly what bin this time segment is going to be put into as they're recording that time. Now, starting and stopping breaks, just as easy. If it's lunchtime, they're ready to start their break, all they would do is tap this break button right here. It asks them, are they sure? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm hungry. It starts them a break timer. Again, really seamless communication between the mobile app and our website. Now, these hours, of course, are non-billable, so they're going to be removed from their daily total at the end. I'll go ahead and end this break as well, and I'll just go ahead and stop this timer. I'll go ahead and clock out, ending my day. At this point, once they have a start and an end time, the time is going to be sent over here to the timesheets page. And this is what your clients will see mostly working in a day-to-day basis. Now, each one of these yellow sticky notes represents a full day work toward a customer, right? It's actually billable time. These blue sticky notes is paid time off. So sick time gets that little umbrella icon, you know, because they're under the weather, obviously. The vacation time gets that little plain icon, but it's really easy. They can check inside the daily total, the weekly total here. We keep track of their locations whenever they clock in and clock out. We keep track of their notes, and all of this is going to be kept on our server for the life of their account. They can make any sort of changes as needed. But next, I'll show you the approval process. This is often the last step that your clients are going to do before actually exporting the time over to QuickBooks. So I'll go ahead and select this pay period this time around, March 1st through the 15th. I have all these hours that have been filled out. It's really easy. Your client would just have to approve these hours once they've looked them over. And that's really key because if we go back to the timesheets page now, you'll see why. Once the hours are approved, they put a green stamp of approval on the time segments themselves. So whether your client is going to actually be exporting the time over to QuickBooks, or if they've just added you as a ClockShark user and rely on you to export the hours, this is a good visual indicator that, hey, they've looked over all the hours, it's ready to process for payroll. So all we'll do now is click this Export to QuickBooks button. And just so you guys can see that I'm not cheating, I will go ahead and open up my timesheet here in QuickBooks. I'll expand this view. I'll open up my timesheet for this week here, and I'll go back into ClockShark and export the hours. We'll select this pay period, which is March 1st through the 15th. This is a brief summary of everything that's about to be exported. We'll go ahead and export the hours. Now, if you were integrated with QuickBooks Online or ADP, that would be the last step right there. The hours would be sent from one website to another. Really, really easy stuff. But since we're going from website to on-premise software, we do have to update that QuickBooks Web Connector. And again, this is a free utility in QuickBooks. It's often pre-installed. If not, we have an installation link on ClockShark and we can help you get it set up. But you'll know you have it set up if you click on File in the upper left. Near the bottom, there's going to be an option that says Update Web Services. This will launch the QuickBooks Web Connector. As you can see here, I actually have a couple of ClockShark accounts added to this QuickBooks Web Connector. So if you do intend on having multiple clients using ClockShark, you can set up multiple ClockShark accounts in this Web Connector and feed each company file accordingly. I will go ahead and check this box here on the left. Now all I have to do is click this Update Selected button, and we'll just wait for these percentage bars at the bottoms to finish up. As these are loading, just think of all the time you're saving not having to manually key in all of this information. It's really a life changer. So there's all the times that just came through. That's just my timesheet, by the way, for just this week. So as you can imagine, that would take quite a bit of time to manually enter these things. We exported the customers and the jobs. We have a parent customer here that says HGTV, but we can also tie our times to a sub job as well. We exported our tasks info right into that service item column. It's coded to the proper payroll item, including this travel one that you see here. We've exported the notes and the times, and depending on the overtime rules that you have set up in ClockShark, those are also going to be coded over properly. But again, we'll go to last week. Here's vacation time. It's obviously not associated with a customer or a task here, just using the proper payroll item. And that's just my timesheet, by the way. We sent over Jonathan and Drew Scott as well, week 1 and 2, the Property Brothers. Chip and Joanna Gaines fixing up their timesheet right here. And lastly, our vendors, Hillary and David. They are from Love It and List It, obviously. They left us some nice notes. What did the shark say when he was accused of a crime? Not guilty. Sorry, I had to throw a shark joke up in here. Once the times actually hit the weekly timesheet in QuickBooks, it's just a landing bin. This is where it can be used for payroll, for invoicing, billing, and reporting as well. So I'll go ahead and save and close this information here. The first thing I want to show you is how we're going to actually pay the employees for these hours that have been recorded. So we'll click on Employees and Pay Employees right here. We're just going to need to set the pay period end date. Looks like it's already set properly. We can open up the paycheck detail. Again, this is referencing the timesheet in QuickBooks, so once it's in there properly, it's going to be used across the board. All of our earnings items, the jobs, the items, and the sick and vacation time was properly accounted for as well. But I'll go ahead and check all of these, and we'll go ahead and finish this up. We'll create those paychecks, and that's the posting transaction that we needed. Speaking of posting transactions, certain reports in QuickBooks do require posting transactions. So I'll click on this reports option up here at the top. I want to start here on this jobs, time, and mileage option. Now, any of these time-based reports in this section right here is just going to reference the weekly timesheet. So once the hours hit that weekly timesheet in QuickBooks, these reports will be updated. Other reports here, like the profitability summary, the profit and loss by job, anything requiring financial information is going to require a posting transaction that hits the GL, right? But I will just show you just a quick job summary report. Here's some of the times that were exported year to date. So again, we've lumped together all the times based on service item, based on customer, and even sub job down here. Next, I want to show you how to pay vendors here in QuickBooks. There's a couple of ways you can do that. You can always just write them a check. So we'll just click Control-W on my keyboard. That will open up the check writing portion here in QuickBooks. You would just need to select who you're actually paying. So, you know, Hillary and David is my vendor. I have a pop-up just explaining that they have billable time in this company file. So we'll just need to tell it where to search for that time in between which date range, right? March 1st through March 14th. Here's the times that, again, are referencing that weekly timesheet. The check that we're about to write, I can go ahead and save and close that, and that's it. Another way to pay your vendors, of course, if we click on the vendor tab up here at the top, we can enter a bill for them. So very similar to the check writing screen. First, you'll have to select the vendor that you're going to be paying. Here's Love It or List It again. And this time we'll have to actually enter the time. So again, we'll just reference what date range that we want to pull these billable times from. Click OK. Here are all the hours that we're going to be accounting for. And we just need to bill them, right? So I'll go ahead and save and close that. We've created the bill for our vendors. Now it's up to us to just pay that bill here. Here's the new bill that we just created. We'll just check this box, pay selected bills, and we're done. Lastly, I just want to show you invoicing here in QuickBooks as well. Again, I'm sure many of you are already familiar with this. You're obviously accounting professionals. So I'll just go to Customers here, Create Invoices. Let me expand this window out. I'll just go ahead. We can invoice an entire parent customer here, which would be HGTV. Again, you see this little pop-up with all the times that are unaccounted for. So we could do that, or we could go ahead and invoice a sub-job. So I'll go ahead and invoice Flipper Flop. Just targeting Christina L. Moose's times here. I'll bring all those times in. It might be pertinent to delete some of the notes if it's not pertinent to the customer. So, you know, other information that you might want to actually keep in here, you might want to leave on the invoice, but I'll just go ahead and take those out for now. I do have to deselect this box. I don't want to spam HGTV or anything, not sending them a real invoice, but I am going to go ahead and save and close that invoice. If we open up the Customer Center now, we'll see the invoice that we just created right here, invoice number 7, created today. We'll pop this guy open. We're going to receive payments. Cash is king. We're about to get a $13,000 check from HGTV. This invoice has been paid, and it's done. That's the posting transaction that we needed. So the absolute last thing I have for you today before I hand it back on over to Jasmine is actually the two-way integration that we were talking about. So not only can we feed QuickBooks with the time information, we can also pull information into ClockShark right from QuickBooks. So I'll just create another, show here. Luckily, HGTV has quite a bit of shows that we can reference. So we'll go ahead and create a new job. It's going to be another sub-job of HGTV. Let's call this one Extreme Makeover Home Edition, right? We'll go ahead and click OK. That has been added into QuickBooks. We'll go back on over to ClockShark, and just so again, you guys can see that I'm not cheating, I'll show you the jobs list. It's not part of this job list at all. Now we're going to tell it to go ahead and move that bus. Am I right? Yeah, it's been a while since that show has been on air, but you get what I'm talking about. I'll go ahead and click this Update Selected button now, and we'll just watch that magic happen again. We'll just wait for the double 100% bars. Once this finishes loading, I just need to refresh this jobs list, and you'll see the new Extreme Makeover Home Edition job that we created, which was automatically imported right here. So it is a true two-way communication between QuickBooks and ClockShark, really seamless. With that, let's just go ahead and jump back into the slide deck. I will review everything that we kind of discussed, and then I'll hand it back over to Jasmine. But that is our integration in a nutshell. Pretty sweet, right? Again, we would love to help you and your clients get set up. So if you'd like to schedule a time for a one-on-one consultation and a screen sharing session, we can definitely arrange that. But let's just quickly review the things we discussed, then I'll turn it back over to Jasmine. We discussed ClockShark's approach to time tracking and scheduling, and how that approach helps companies streamline processes and save some time. I showed you our website as well as our mobile app, and took a deep dive into our QuickBooks desktop integration. Then we covered some cool things that you can do with the time information once it's in QuickBooks, and how you or your clients can save some time compared to manual processes. With that, I suppose I'm finished. Yeah, that was my final bad joke that you have to put up with today. I'm sure the joke's wearing a bit thin, but seriously, now I'm done. I'll give the floor back over to Jasmine. Again, I'm Hans, and I look forward to personally onboarding some of you. Take it away, Jasmine.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hans. That was wonderful. And there's never too many jokes and puns that we do here at ClockSharks. But how exciting was that? Obviously, really nice to be able to go over the actual system and be able to get real glimpses as to what the system can offer for you. But you might be thinking, which one of my clients would actually best fit from this? Would they actually even benefit from a solution like this? So let's talk about, in a very realistic world that we live in, over these pain points and struggles that your clients deal with on a day-to-day basis. Are they managing people on an hourly basis where they need to keep track of every single time entry, and they're actually accountable for the billable hours? Whether that's mobile locations, are they out in the field? Are they not working from one location? Being able to see everybody from one screen, and making sure that people are on the right job, doing the right thing in real time, not having to make that phone call to chase down to see Is someone over here? Is there a nearer person there? You can view that directly from the screen. And as we've already drilled this right into the system in this presentation, is the fact that paper timesheets and manually entering that in can make that process that much smoother. So is that something that your client can talk about and actually benefit from? So with that being said, why are we talking about automated time tracking? Seriously, why? Well, it's something that as accounting gurus, it's important to give your clients that advice and know-hows on how they can be efficient in their businesses with the tools that maybe ClockShop can offer. So something that we hear quite often is that you do have a small business, or your client has a small business with a few employees. And as such, maybe location monitoring or electronic software to keep track of their employees isn't as important. But when you're running a business with the belief that automation isn't necessary, that's putting your clients at great risk, as well as yourselves. The reason why I bring this up is, in the day and age that we live in, think about how GPS and verification has really changed our lives for the better. Maybe you can't find an address for a customer's office or location. Where do you find that? Well, you go to Google, you go to Apple Maps, or if this is for business purposes, you can use ClockShop. Maybe a customer or client has a question as to why they're being charged a certain amount, or whether the employees really showed up for the job and they're actually being billed the right amount. That verification can be given with that tool that we've shown you here today. Last but not least, trying to maybe find an exact location of your co-workers, which Hans wonderfully showed that we've got a tool that can show that option. I really want to go over and highlight, we've gone over so much information, but I want to go over these key main factors as to what these benefits can provide. Making sure that your clients are paying for the employee's time that's actually being worked, rather than the scheduled time that has been given, or that basic assumption that I've got a full-time employee, they're just being paid 40 hours. Without any overlooked, maybe overtime parameters, avoiding those errors of payroll can be costly. Just making that manual calculation. Sometimes that brain calculator isn't as accurate as you think. And having an electronic system is only going to benefit that. By making sure that maybe having the ability to calculate and manage from those hours that we've collected the job costing benefits, breaking the barrier of that illusion as to where time is really being spent, regardless of whether the client has employees that are hourly or salaried. Another benefit is going to be being proactive, making sure that there are certain things in place, like overtime parameters that I've already drilled in so many times, making sure that we're not questioning, why are we paying employee X $200 extra for overtime that's just not justified? And then last but not least, avoiding that painstaking process of entering in time entries individually and going through working with a process that's so outdated that it's working against you rather than for you. So having that reduced time on spending with payroll is only going to benefit you and that client. So bringing that, let's make sure we acknowledge that you are the heroes for your clients' businesses. And this is something that's key that maybe you don't really realize, that they come to you for all those important matters. The bottom line is time is money, something that we know very, very much so, and especially when running a business or helping other people with their businesses. Knowing that if employees are doing unproductive work and not really benefiting the business is only going to cost them and eventually you. With companies not using those time tracking methods for their operations, they're monitored billable hours according to what time that the employees have reported on a weekly or monthly basis only quantifies to poor time use. Because of this, we don't know what activities that you're actually paying the employees for. So moreover, this is going to drill in that main point that we've been going on about here today as to losing money rather than saving it. And one wonderful statistic that I love to refer back to is time theft is real. It is the real monster in the workplace, and it affects businesses more than we know. Again, thank you so much for being so wonderful and responsive with this webinar that we've been showing on here, Clayton. I'd love your help for our last question here, just to go over to see how we're going to be able to see what your current clients are currently dealing with. That biggest challenge that you hear about constantly. Is it reporting? Is it time off that you're not just able to keep track of because there's too many of them? Maybe clocking in and out easily. The employees are great at what they do, but sometimes you need something that's goof-proof and that's something very real. Or it could be something completely different, which I'd love to hear about.
Perfect, and that poll is up, and I'll give everybody about another 30 seconds to answer, and we'll get right back to it.